levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. Yo levantaré mi bandera, wow. Levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. No, no, y es que hay mucho sentimiento, lo grito al viento, de ser latino nunca me arrepiento. Lo digo desde la Suiza centroamericana, rebota en Colombia y en Dominicana y yo.
Hey guys, it's Rafael, the Latin Babbler, and we are here for edition number 6 of I Choose to Be Healthy. I am here with Izell and Ryan Munoz from the Nutrizzy organization. Here we go. We're going to do the last segment of this series, and it's going to be the verdict. So I will let them have the way, and we will see how we did.
Alrighty. Well, we just want to say thank you for choosing us to be a part of this health journey, and we hope that we were of great support to you throughout this 6 weeks. And I am super proud of you of the changes you've made already, and even just these last 2 weeks, I've seen the difference. So, to you.
Thank you. Trying.
Yeah, we're just a support here, Rafael. You know, all the work that you've put in is just a testament to, you know, what it takes, you know, to do this, right? You know, for anyone, you know, who's been following this series, you know, we're just a guide, you know, providing tools and resources. It really is, you know, the individual, and, you know, as cliche as it sounds, it really is what you put in, you know, is what you're going to get out of it, you know.
Agreed. Yeah.
That saying has been around for a reason. So, you know, you've invested and you're going to continue to invest. We believe that you're ready. You know, as we spoke about in our last session, it's a matter of what happens, you know, in the after, right? You know, to sustain what you've been doing, but then also to consider how you can continue to elevate without the, you know, us as the additional support, but really looking inward, you know, with the skills and strengths that you have, you know, and be resourceful to continue that journey. And also know that it's going to be, you know, potentially difficult. You know, we do have that happen where individuals, you know, we feel like we're ready, we go out on our own, and then we might struggle, and it's okay to, you know, acknowledge that and also come back, right? Ideally, you know, we want people to be successful, and it doesn't mean that if you come back you're not. It's just a matter of saying, hey, maybe we need to invest a little bit more and develop, you know, more tools and make those changes that'll be sustainable in the long run. So we do want to make that clear that, you know, we may not always see the flower blossom, so to speak, right? You know, you came to us, you know, we planted the seed, we've been watering it, and we know that you yourself have this goal, which will be realized, you know, over time. So ideally, we know we would be continuing to work with you, but, you know, we know that this kind of goes in cycles and seasons, and we think you're ready right now. And if you ever feel that you need support in the future, obviously, you know that you can return.
Yeah. So I did something this week that probably annoyed the shit out of you guys. So I decided that I wasn't going to use the app as much because I wanted to see in what way I could actually create these meal plans and try to sustain the way we do life involving regular life, because last week was very hectic. And just to see if I'm not accountable to the app, how do I maintain myself? Because eventually what's going to happen is after this episode, I've got to do this on my own. I've got to go ahead and obviously, you know, we'll obviously keep in touch to, you know, either on a monthly or whatever basis to be able to see what status is and, you know, see if there's any way to modify what I've been doing or things of that issue. But I wanted just to kind of test it out. I was actually pretty excited with how we managed that, because there were some times where I sent you guys the list of everything I ate just to kind of like sit there and say, okay, I don't want her to like really, really worry me, just in case she's sitting there going, you're not living by the example, you know. So I sent the, you know, whatever meals I ate for that point. And then there were some times where, look, we had to eat out or something like that, but then I was able to manage what I ate through the day to compensate for that. If I knew that we were going to be running hectic or running late, or if I woke up late and I wasn't able to get that first meal in time. So I have to say that for me, the program has been extremely successful because I've been able to kind of see what it is that my body's asking for, especially with like the mood swings. Like people don't realize the app, you know, when you're filling in these dinners and snacks, you have to put how satisfied you were, how satisfied you weren't, or you know how full you were, whether or not you were full going into it, or whether your body was asking you if you were hungry going into it, you know, what you got out of it. And so it was important to see like, okay, I woke up this morning, this is how my body felt. Okay, I need to put something in it. Or I, you know, after I ate dinner, okay, I'm completely full. There's, you know, if I would be putting something in there, I'd be putting in there just for the sake of putting it in there. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was kind of important to understand those factors so that I was able to kind of reassess, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is how I'm able to manage this without having somebody, you know, constantly, you know, having to report to, so to speak. Because that's, I mean, that's the essence of real life, is you have to go ahead and manage these things in that way. So it was actually really cool. It was actually really cool to be able to take all the stuff that I've learned in the first 5 weeks and implement them into, you know, what that 1 week was before this session.
Yeah, which is ultimately the goal. You know, the last 2 weeks is, again, I kind of provided you with certain meal ideas and snacks that you could prepare on your own that were not exactly on the meal plan. And you went ahead and took that initiative for this last week of like, okay, I'm going to try this on my own, which is awesome. I was worried. I was like, oh my God, he's not eating. He's not posting his food. But I did, you know, I'm texting you, you know, hey, just want to make sure
He's like,
everything's
he's
okay.
starving himself. What's he doing?
But overall, I think, again, you did really great. You made awesome choices with the foods that you had available because of the busy schedule that you had these past 2 weeks. I think you did really great. So that makes me happy to hear that this
And this
helped.
week, very much so, because this week was very hectic with the press release and everything going out and a lot of the things that we had to push out. So we really spent a lot of time kind of running everywhere. So that's why it was important, you know, and for people who haven't been paying attention to the series, first of all, you're missing out. So you're going to have to like listen to it now. It's going to be on all major platforms, all 6, you know, consecutively. So you can just listen back to back to back to back. But if you don't know my story, then go back to episode 1. You'll understand. I literally sit here for about 16, 18 hours a day on this chair. When I'm not sitting on this chair, I'm running around everywhere trying to make sure that we do everything that we can to either support family or support the different things. So if there's anybody of an example of somebody who was going from literally sedentary to at least some activity to a better eating lifestyle, you're looking at it right now. I don't think anybody sits. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are, but I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of people that sit as many hours as I do at this chair. So, and I'm pretty sure the chair will warn you about that. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, the indentation. But yeah, so, you know, if you're trying to find a way to get out of this habit of constantly sitting down or constantly, you know, eating the wrong things, this is probably the best way to do that. This program was very good with the alternating as far as meals, wellness, meals, wellness, meals, wellness. Like it was really good to be able to kind of like have that go back to back to back to back to kind of guide you in a better way.
That's great. It's great to hear that, again, that we were able to support you in meeting those, you know, those milestones. You know, as we discussed in the previous weeks, we provided you with, you know, the information on how you could improve your diet, you know, increasing nutrients in your meals to help you have better, you know, better rest at night, which again, that has to do with the wellness, having a better sleep pattern, having better energy throughout the day. So, you know, all of this, it's all interconnected. And so that's why we pride ourselves in being able to provide both services to our clients.
Yeah. And I
So,
actually,
rough
those are the two, before you go ahead, those are the 2 areas that really I saw the difference in. Like I was able to do more because of the energy that I had, and I was able to rest better. So those, and I noticed that on the days that on the days that you and I spoke, on the days that I ate out, my rest was completely different, or my body would react differently to that food, um, compared to, when I was sitting there eating the healthier options for that. So yeah, much change in that area where I was able to kind of like sustain a very large amount of energies. Obviously, my knees give out after a while, so energy and pain are two different things. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
No, no worries. I just wanted to kind of transition to when we titrate or exit out of services, we always want to take time to, I think we've been reflecting on the process, right? We did a little bit last week. We've kind of front loaded it, and as we started this session, but I want to get a pulse on how you're feeling, or what kind of thoughts are you having, knowing that, we're not going to be as readily available to you moving forward, right? You mentioned that you started this practice this week, but in the back of your mind, I'm sure it was still like, well, if anything happens, or if I have a question, or if I need to change something, they're still there, right? You use this week while you still had the support. Now moving forward, the 6 weeks are going to be done. How are you feeling? What thoughts are you having or have had maybe in this week, kind of in anticipation that this is going to be our last session?
So I'm going to attack that from two different angles. And I think that in my case, I'm just a little luckier than some people may be in this situation. So I would say that for some people who are going through the 6-week program, if you don't have the support that you need in order to be able to kind of sustain afterwards, my suggestion is extend. Do whatever you have to do to continue that support. Because I think on my end, as we've talked about in a lot of the sessions, I've had the support of my family and friends throughout this process. So I have somebody that I can kind of lean on, past, or I guess you could say post 6-week plan, so to speak, with the understanding that at one point I'm definitely going to hit, Questionville, and I'm going to have to come back and be like, hey guys, let's do this, let's turn around, what are the modifications? I'm running into this situation now, my body's reacting differently. So I understand that I'll definitely have to come back in order to be able to kind of like ask those questions. But I will say that I'm a little bit more obviously nervous, but I'm a little bit more at ease with the fact that beyond the 6 week, I have the support of the people in my home and the people in my crew. So that's where I kind of differ from maybe somebody who's going through the 6-week program, but maybe they're going through it by themselves in the house, or maybe they're going by, if they're on their own or something like that, maybe they don't have the support of their families or this and that. That might be difficult. For those people, I say, stay on the plan. Do whatever you have to do to kind of continue that path. Don't let yourself get deterred away from whatever your goals are. You're gonna have a lot of obstacles that jump right in the way, and they look really nice. And what I'm telling you is, continue the plan. Just keep going and ride or die with it until you've reached whatever goal you're trying to reach. But I think that's for me in my case, where I'm kind of like at a 70-30. Like I know 70% of it, I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay because I have the support of the people around me who are constantly checking up on me and making sure. And then there's that 30% that's like, okay, I'm definitely going to have to, watch what I do, because if those people aren't around and I don't have Nutrizzy, then now I'm left with that choice on my own. So yeah.
Yeah, you definitely bring up a good point, and we're glad to hear that you have that support system. And I think that the next steps, as I'm listening to that, for even anyone else, doing this, who would be doing this independently, right? That's where in earlier sessions we talked about like extrinsic and intrinsic motivations, right? The external factors that help us to, continue, and then the intrinsic, the internal things that drive us, right? So even if you didn't have that support system, right, that's where we want to get to. because again, people may not always readily be there. We may not always get the "you're doing great, you're doing great." And those are those moments that when we're talking about sustainability and discipline and commitment to the plan, that's where it truly shows, right? Because it's a lot easier, as you're saying, to do something when you have someone, encouraging you, validating your experience and the challenges you're going through. But it is more difficult to go at it alone, knowing that, well, what's driving this behavior of mine, right? Is this something that I'm doing for me? And I think that, in our conversations, in your progress, you've shown that, it's a bit of both, right? And I'm not saying that we want to completely, shift and say, well, you got to do it independently, right? It's
Yeah.
just saying, in those moments where you find yourself by yourself, right? Without, that support or that, positive reinforcement. Where do you default to? Right. And that's where, I want to make sure that you're also considering those things, and anyone listening in, that they're, considering those things, that you can do this independently. And the idea is that over the course of our program, and I'm glad that you mentioned, is that we can always extend. So if you sign up for a 6-week program, we can always extend, right? And we would work with any individual that, we deem in need of that. We would make a recommendation,
Yeah.
not so much because we want to, have you continue with the program for our own benefit, but really for the individual. And so that's where, we mentioned with you, is that we feel good and we've assessed, and, based on what you've reported, we feel good about terminating right now, saying, hey, let's try this,
I don't want to
for
be
a little.
terminated. That sounds so bad. It's like, we're good
That's
with
a term we
terminating you.
use.
It's like, you're fired.
Exit out of services. We feel good about, where you're at. Otherwise, we would be letting you know, hey, we should probably extend, or we would suggest that we continue because we notice some of these things, right? But you've, demonstrated and spoke to these things that, you yourself have learned, and you've shifted your mindset. And that's the biggest thing that, as we spoke about, that you can walk away with, is having that shift in mindset and knowing, okay, I have the tools, or I have the ability to problem solve and make decisions on my own in a educated and informed way, rather than what I was doing before, which was kind of on a whim or driven by emotion, which is the case for a lot of individuals.
Yeah, and I want to clarify that point to the people who are listening. So, in no way, shape, or form, when we started this series, well, we're going to come in the series, and the people from Nutrizzy, Izell and Ryan, were going to ask questions, and I was going to put on a show here. That was not the purpose of this series. The purpose of the series was to be completely honest with what I was going through, what my body was going through, what my mind was going through to the entire process, and even in the decision making process that I made. And I think that, because we have a lot of people who have even asked, like, hey, is this for real? Are you really going through the process? Yes, this is a real process. This is an actual thing. We're not creating, this isn't a show on NBC where we're actors and we're going through these scripts and things like that. No, these are actual sessions that are taking place that have been showing results. So in case people didn't know, my beginning weight before even going into the Nutrizzy plan was exactly like 405, because of the scale issue that we were having when we first jumped into the program. So you're talking about, 405 to 378. Okay. I'm not an avid working out guy going to the gym. So a lot of that has been on going and eating the right foods when I was at a restaurant, or eating the right foods at home, or sticking to a meal plan. Those are just those instances. I've only maybe walked a couple of times, gone to the gym a couple of times in the 6 weeks that we've been doing that. And that's what, 30, I don't know how many pounds that is. 405 to 378. I don't even know the math.
Computing in real
Yeah,
time.
doing the calc.
27, that's 27 pounds.
27 pounds. So that's 3 pounds, I think, less than what I posted the last time on my Instagram account. And you're saying, okay, well, why didn't you lose more? Well, because I wasn't working out or doing all the existential physical activity that I should have been doing or could have been doing. But for me, that's good. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the gradual loss. And I think even going into the plan, you had mentioned that a healthy weight loss is anywhere between, I think 1 or 2 pounds per week is anything healthy. And I knew that I had mentioned that once I start going to the gym and stuff like that, it'll be significant because my body just reacts differently. So when you add, the increase in metabolism along with, working out, my results are going to be a lot different going forward. But just even losing, those 27 pounds. I mean, if you guys have never held 2 bags of potatoes that are 10 pounds big next to each other and then having another 7-pound bag, I mean, that's what you're talking about. Which on my knees, where I have 2 torn meniscus on one on each side and all kinds of stuff, that is a lot of weight to lose. And you can feel it when I get up from the couch, when I wake up from the bed, like you can feel these things. And I think the thing that was important was that this was self-motivating. It wasn't something that was steered because of some goal or some, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was just me wanting to be healthy for myself. And that's been kind of like the really cool deal about this. And even the 6-week program, just so much to learn in 6 weeks. It's almost like a crash course at college when you're trying to finish one of those, rush classes, and the professor's like, "Oh, you got an incomplete because we don't know what you're at the end of the session." So, but yeah, it's one of those, it's one of those type of things, but it's extremely rewarding. And so I just wanted to make that clear because I've had people ask me, are these recorded sessions that are like scripted or anything? I'm like, no, these are real sessions with real people. Okay, and they're about to have a baby, and we're not sitting there trying to create some type of environment where people think, oh, these are really well scripted episodes. So yeah.
Well, again, we are super proud of you for making these changes.
That's awesome.
And again, like, I want to mention to any of the viewers out there, like, we didn't put you on a super strict diet or extra low calorie, cutting out food groups, nothing like that. If anything, we added more to your diet and added more meals, more snacks. And I know at first you had told me, like, I feel like I'm eating way more than I usually do. Like, I'm eating more frequently, which was, again, that's I wanted you to understand that difference between your meal patterns. And so, again, we're super proud of the progress that you've made. Again, we were just the support. You were the one who put in all the effort. So we congratulate you.
Thank you. I will say this. You guys gave me a liking for something that I never liked before. Quinoa.
What was that? Yay.
I couldn't stand quinoa with a passion. But I guess the way it was made, like the seasoning and so forth, yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Especially when you add the chicken and so forth. It's a great replacement for rice. So if you're if you're a rice lover, it's not exactly rice. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's not there's the big difference between it, but it's a great replacement for rice. It almost feels like you're eating rice with whatever meat you're eating it with. So yeah, really cool substitute.
Awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. I do want to let you know that we created some resources specifically for you. Again, that you can take with you after this. And we did send it. We sent it to your email already. And there's just different tips specifically for you, because we saw some of the things that again that you may have struggled with that we want you to continue to work on. So just to give you some examples, like I added in how to fill up your pantry. So having those go-to already there for you that you enjoy, with all within the different food groups, having the variety of food. And we also put when you're eating out, tips for when you're eating out, things to remember, things when you're busy, just overall helpful things that is going to elevate you to that next level while we're away. So we did send that to you. Ryan did add some information on there as well for you.
Yeah, so much of it was the topics that we discussed, right? I always want to make sure that you have those tips to go back to, because it's that part of that sustainability is being able to reference what you've already learned. And sometimes we forget or we backslide, and it's great to be able to say, okay, hey, I have a tool, something tangible that I can look back on in those moments where I just got to continue to review and apply. So they're great reminders as well. One thing that I did include in there, as you mentioned, as far as physical activity, we talked about setting realistic and objectives that you can work on. So just kind of talking about some of the myths of physical activity to kind of help you again reinforce that we don't have to do this vigorous activity for long stretches of time, multiple times a day or multiple times a week, just adding in a little bit of that, and specifically with you describing and having a more sedentary kind of lifestyle with your work, putting in something specific to that in there as well, right? So what can you do, getting up from your desk, and just being mindful about, getting movement in through your day. That's included in there, as well as, some basics about mindfulness. We talked about, cultivating gratitude, and I added some breathing exercises in there as well, which again, for anyone listening in, I know we all breathe.
Yeah, breathing doesn't mean
Right.
that you breathe every day. That's not what a breathing exercise is.
Yeah, this is an intentional practice, and I included that in there more so because from what you described, you're very busy, you're on the go, and things you're constantly having to adapt, to the situations throughout your day, and so there's information in there as well about stress management coupled with the breathing exercises. So, but pretty much it's a basic like 4x4 breathing technique where you're exhaling for 4 seconds, you're inhaling for 4 seconds, and then holding for 4 seconds. And that's just a great way to pause, even for a brief moment throughout your day, for any stressor that may come into play. Because as we spoke about, with the nutrition and wellness, it's all interconnected. So we really were talking about what's driving your decision making related to food, and a lot of people use food as a source of comfort. Like, I'm upset right now and I just want to feel good. Let me go get that,
Tear it up on
that
some
thing
Twinkies.
that makes me happy again. Exactly. So instead of, rushing to the Twinkie, taking a moment to pause and say, okay, hey, let me do this breathing exercise. Let me ground myself in the things that I've been learning. Izell also included some things to do instead of, when I feel the urge to eat something, what can I do in place of that? And that's
Oh,
included
that's
in
actually
this
very helpful.
resource
Yeah,
as
that would be
well.
good. Yeah.
So it's not just meal alternatives, but actions that you can take instead of going to eat. And if you're still hungry after that, then you take the the appropriate steps. But you would go through that process prior to just reaching for the Twinkie, right? So if I have a practice of pausing, grounding myself in the information that I've learned and know, and then have an alternative to food, and I may not want that Twinkie
Yeah.
thereafter, right? Because my brain, my body has now had a moment to kind of pivot and say, okay, well, it wasn't really about the Twinkie, right? It wasn't really about that, it was this stressor that I had. And that's where we have even talked about what are the lifestyle changes. So it's not just making changes on your plate. What are the lifestyle changes that I can make? What are the things that I can integrate into my schedule to make sure that I'm successful in along this health journey that you've started? So you have this resource. Again, it's been curated specifically for you based on our conversations. It's not completely exhaustive, right? It's not like, now you have the Holy Grail, with all the information that you could potentially need, but it is, again, a good way to transition as you go, as you exit, I won't say terminate, as you exit our services. It's just another means of support that you'll have to
I'm not gonna let go of that term, Ryan. I'm
help.
not gonna go let go of it. I was terminated.
Yeah.
Like I got a pink slip. It was already in the mail. So just give like a 1 week notice.
No, but again, we really wanted to provide that extra resource to you again for that aftermath. So overall, we are again proud of you. We think you made excellent progress throughout this 6 weeks, and we are again grateful that you chose us to support you.
No, and look, it was actually it's really good. And like I said, we'll probably keep in touch probably on a monthly basis just to see where we are, how we're doing, and I'll obviously have some struggles that I'll run into, or maybe some questions because I reach a wall or some sort, and I may need to kind of figure out, okay, well, what do I do to kind of get over that hump? I already actually started. So today I actually went to the gym because I kind of wanted to start after the 6 week to kind of start implementing the physical activity part of it. So that's something that I decided to start doing going into it forward, just to see what kind of results I get if I go at least 3 or 4 times, just to actually do the treadmill or some type of elliptical or at least some type of activity. So yeah, I'm very excited about what we did here and what we'll be kind of like accomplishing in the future. Because obviously Ryan, once he gets his certification sometime this century, we'll be able to kind of do the physical training aspect of it. But we're still waiting on him.
It's coming.
It's on
the way. It's on the way. It's on the way.
And keeping me waiting. Just kidding. So, but yeah, that'll be Nutrizzy part 2. The structuring, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this was a very informative and very helpful. And I think the one thing that I've gotten from it was, who I am and what I'm capable of with, once you get the information that you need in order to be able to sustain that kind of healthier lifestyle.
That's great. Well, do you have any other burning questions or thoughts before we wrap up and conclude for today?
Not really questions. I mean, I'll probably have questions after this week or even within the weeks to come, and we'll talk about how we handle those and things of that nature once I look at the information that you sent me. But if people wanted to sign up for that 15-minute free assessment, how do they go about doing that? Because I know we've had some people ask us, okay, do we just call them? So how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so there's different methods. Obviously, we're really active on Instagram, so that's at Nutrizzy, NUTR.IZZY. We also have a website that you can reference for information about our packages, and that's Nutrizzy, nutritionandwellness.com, Nutrizzy Nutrition and Wellness LLC.com. Or you can also call us or text us directly at 951-556-9703. So there's different methods. Our email as well is nutr.izzyrdn@gmail.com. So whatever method you want to reach out, Instagram's a great way too, just to kind of get some insight on who we are, the information we put out. We put out great tips on our Instagram, just for you to start to maybe plan. I know people are sometimes in that contemplation phase where it's like, maybe I'm not ready to reach out, but let me just follow them. We're trying to create and cultivate a community that is inclusive, non-judgmental. We got some great, content on there, with our daughter. We are a family owned business. So you can get a little bit of a feel for what we put out there. We put out some wellness tips, nutrition tips, motivational content. So we encourage you guys to, again, follow. It's at Nutrizzy, NUTR.IZZY. And yeah, that's who we are and how you can reach us.
If you go to our website, www.latinbabbler.com, you'll see banners for that 15-minute free assessment. If you haven't followed them, go ahead and follow them. But if you happen to stumble upon our website, go ahead and you'll see the banners either on the top or you'll see them on the left side. For you to be able to, once you click on that, it'll take you directly to their site for their contact information. Follow us on all social media platforms at Latin Babbler Show. Make sure to sign up or to register for our new YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. If you're seeing this video, if you're listening now, then that means that you've already reached our platform, which is available everywhere. Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, or Amazon Music. So that is going to be something that we are going to be doing this week. So we will definitely be pushing it to all social media platforms. And that is it. The Nutrizzy people, you guys have been amazing. Thank you very much for the information that you guys have provided. We'll be on a touch probably on a monthly basis just to kind of do these and see where we at. And obviously I'll be posting a lot of my results online on social media just to kind of give people an update. But again, guys, thank you very much for everything that you guys have done. This was absolutely amazing. I've learned so much from an eating standpoint as far as replacements, cravings, things of that nature, and some really yummy substitutes for snacks. So we ain't gonna get by with those rice cakes with the chocolate and the nuts on top. Oh my good, and the graham crackers with the Anyways, you guys find out for yourselves. Make sure you guys, sign up and get that meal plan. It comes with a whole shopping list too. So that way there's no mistake as to what you need to get for yourself, the servings. Yes. And if you're doing it for your family, you can actually just modify that. But I'm the Latin Babbler. I'm here with Izell and I'm here with Ryan Munoz, and we are out.
Desde Nicaragua hasta Costa Rica, con esta canción todo mundo se identifica. Llamen a los chilenos y a los cubanos, llamen a Puerto Rico y a los mexicanos, que ya se armó la rumba. Desde Panamá hasta Ecuador, vámonos a Perú y luego hasta Salvador. Que se escuche en Brasil y Argentina. Yo quiero un grito de mi gente latina y levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. Yo levantaré mi bandera.